I know the chairwoman would like us to be able to get the rule voted out and get on with our evenings. I do think my friend from Virginia, though, deserves a full elucidation of, I think, the position from which he comes, which he's coming at it from my vantage point. He said historian. I know the gentleman well. He's a dear friend. He's coming at it from the perspective of, in my view, like we were talking about earlier, pursue the truth wherever it may lead. I guess, for me, as someone who voted for the electors, as someone who had issues with the way everything unfolded and was very public in his pronouncement of those issues, I will tell you I have serious issues with what happened to some of my fellow Texans at the hands of supposedly objective jurists and prosecutors that put good people that I know in Texas in jail for simply being present near the Capitol. I know that there are a lot of facts that have been put forward that I don't believe, because I believe it was a politically motivated effort. And what the gentleman from Virginia is simply saying is that we should have a committee to go figure it all out on the Judiciary Committee, with lawyers, with the full power of subpoena. And we should know the truth. We should know the truth. In whatever direction it goes, we should know the truth. I believe that and have full-throatedly said it. But what I'm not going to do is listen to a dismissal of my friend's concerns as somehow not being appropriate, because he's laying out what I think is perfectly appropriate, which is that we have a committee to look into this. Now, January, February, March disagreements. Well, hell's bells, there's disagreements. Well, at least we're having a friggin' debate on our side. But whatever disagreements there are is being put forward now with a solution, which is a subcommittee on the Judiciary Committee to look into the facts and pursue the truth. What the hell are we afraid of? What are we afraid of finding out? If there's something that they're going to put forward that you disagree with, highlight it. But at least there'll be investigators and staff and members that can go look at a politically charged effort, which was by definition one-sided, and then go look at the record and decide whether that record reflects the truth. I support my friend from Virginia, and I yield back.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I promise I'll be brief. I'm ready to move on with this, but I would just ask that we remember that when this was set up, Pelosi had 8 appointments, McCarthy had 5, if you recall. Am I correct?
Correct.
McCarthy picked Jim Banks, Jim Jordan, Ronnie Davis, Kelly Armstrong, Troy Nels, according to my records. And then Pelosi rejected
Correct.
the minority appointments. And she then selected both the chair and the vice chair, and she selected the Republicans that served on the committee, not the minority leader. And had she not done that, we would not be having this discussion right now, because then both sides would have been represented, and you could have had an objective discussion. But it was Pelosi's rejection of the Republican members of the committee, and then her insistence on selecting the Republicans who could serve and picking the chair and the vice chair is the reason we're even having this discussion.
Would the gentleman yield? That also included the current chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Mr. Jordan, correct?
That is correct.
I yield back.
I yield.
Thank you. Is there
Madam
any
Chair.
further debate on the amendment?
Madam Chair, so all of us on this side of the aisle were here. It was my 3rd day in office, January 6th. And it demanded to be investigated. And there were attempts to make sure that there would be a bipartisan commission that stood outside, and Republicans voted that down. But the other thing that happened, And I think that this is why Representative Scanlon's motion is important. If the public would look at this, they don't know. Section 9, House Resolution 605 is hereby adopted. There was no presentation of this before the Rules Committee. We did not hear from the chair and the ranking member, so we could not have a debate and ask questions. The American people could not see what was happening. It was just hereby adopted. 605. How do the American people know what Resolution 605 is? So that's why we are raising these issues, because it has been just thrust upon them. And if we hadn't brought this, as if Chair McGovern hadn't started with his amendment, if Representative Scanlon had not had hers, there would have been no debate whatsoever. And I think that that is an important thing. And as to the issue of, if this is passed, will you vote for the bill? There are always amendments to the bills that we consider, and in fact, I know that before I had the privilege and honor and benefit of sitting on the Rules Committee, when Democrats headed it up, there were many Republican amendments to Democrat bills. We didn't demand that if your Republican and your amendment was passed, and many of those Republican amendments were passed, and many of these Democratic amendments to the appropriations bill will get passed, there is not a requirement that if your amendment is adopted on a piece of law that you must vote for the bill. That's never been a requirement, right? It's just not how it works. It's just not how it works. And so to demand that does not make sense, and it's not consistent to how this legislative process works. And given that it is Representative Scanlon's amendment, I'm going to defer some time to her.
I just keep coming back to the fact that we have this bare bones